Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Today, we look at life in the future. We talk about things that are going to happen and things that may possibly happen. Right, let's have one prediction each about life in the future. Natalie.
In the future, the population of the world will certainly be bigger. And cities will probably be bigger too.
Kevin, what about work in the future?
Work. I think it's very likely that we'll work less.
What about your prediction, David?
In the future, we may possibly visit other planets.
The population of the world will certainly be bigger. Cities will probably be bigger.
It's very likely that we'll work less.
We may possibly visit other planets.
We may possibly visit other planets, or people from other planets may possibly visit us.
Look!
What is it?
A planet! A planet! Perhaps there's life on it.
Maybe there is. Maybe there isn't.
Let's go and find out. Come on, let's go and have a look.
Wait, I must check. It's probably dangerous.
What is it? Oh, quick! Let's get out of here. Do you really think we'll ever find a friendly planet?
I don't know. Maybe we will. Maybe we won't.
Maybe we will, maybe we won't. Maybe. Maybe. Or perhaps. Perhaps.
What do you think life will be like in the future?
In the near future, I think the life will be pretty much as it is now, with a little progression. In the far future, I'm not really sure.
I think the future will be very difficult and very hard for people who are now growing up.
I think life in the future will be more computerized, and there will be more robots working instead of humans.
I think life in the future is going to become more regulated. I don't think we're going to have the personal freedoms that we've had in the past.
I think life will be, in London, will certainly be busier in the future.
Better. You always hope that it'll be better.
Carl Schiller is talking to a British businessman about the new computer that Carl's company has produced. James and Julia have just arrived.
Julia, this is Michael Preston.
How do you do?
How do you do?
Michael Preston, James Brady.
How do you do?
How do you do? Please sit down. Now, I'm thinking of investing in the new computer that Carl's company has produced. And I asked him if you could come to this meeting to talk about the advertising campaign. I'm very glad that you could come.
Thank you.
I've read your campaign plan. It looks very good. I only have a few questions, mainly about where you intend to place these advertisements.
Well, as you can see from the plan, we intend to place them in family magazines and on early evening television. We want whole families, parents and children, to see them.
But are you sure they'll be the right families?
The right families? Well,
Are you certain that the parents who read those magazines and watch those television programs are the people who will buy an educational computer for their children.
Yes, we're quite certain. This research shows that...
Good. I'm sure you're right. And I see that you're thinking of placing advertisements in teenage magazines.
Yes. We intend to place them in some teenage magazines. The more serious ones.
And we're thinking of putting them in Sunday newspapers, because it's likely that the whole family will be together on Sundays.
I see. But do you really think that parents and children will like the same advertisements?
We think they'll like our advertisements.
Good.
James and Julia explained where they would put or place their advertisements.
We intend to place them in family magazines.
We're thinking of putting them in Sunday newspapers.
Michael Preston wanted to know how sure Julia and James were about their advertising campaign. He said, "Are you sure? Are you certain? Do you really think?"
Do you really think that parents and children will like the same advertisements?
Let's get back to the meeting at Michael Preston's office.
So we keep a balance. We talk about the educational benefits, and we talk about the fun of using a computer.
To change the subject, what are your marketing plans for adults?
Adults?
We don't intend to market the computer for adults.
Well, I think you should.
Why?
First of all, there are a lot of adult learners, not just children that learn new things. For example, I'm sure that your computer would be very good for language learning.
Language learning? I wonder.
And secondly, you have to think about the future. It's likely that people will work less. They may want to travel more. They'll certainly have more time for studying.
Yes. Perhaps we can discuss this at our next meeting.
Good idea. Well, it's been very interesting. Thank you all for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you.
There were several phrases there that are useful when you're talking in a meeting.
To change the subject, what are your marketing plans for adults? First of all, there are a lot of adult learners. And secondly, you have to think about the future.
And to end the meeting, he said, "Thank you all for coming."
Thank you all for coming.
Life in the future. People who work in the energy industry, making electricity, have to look into the future to predict our needs, especially people who work in alternative energy, people who look for new ways of making electricity, such as photovoltaics. The man to explain photovoltaics and look into the future is John Hoffner. His job is to provide electricity for the city of Austin in Texas.
My area of specialty is alternative energy. I work in the generation planning division, and we look into the future to find out what alternative energy sources might make sense in Austin. For example, photovoltaic solar systems, fuel cells, wind energy, any renewable energy technology. And one of the ones that we're concentrating on is photovoltaics, because Austin has a great solar resource, and we also use a lot of electricity when the sun is out for people's air conditioners. Photovoltaic simply means converting light into electricity. Photo means light and voltaic means of electricity. So the simple definition is that it converts sunlight to electricity. This is one of the photovoltaic cells that converts sunlight to electricity. It has essentially a positive side and a negative side. When you wire up a wire from the front to the back and put it through a little motor, you can get electricity out of it. We in Austin have the second largest photovoltaic plant in the United States. That plant is about 300 kilowatts in size. That's enough electricity for about 100 to 150 homes in Austin. Now, what we do is we take those photovoltaic cells, each one of those about 1 watt of electricity, and use those as building blocks to build a large power plant. We wire those together in what's called a panel, and then we take those panels and wire them together to get the desired voltage and current that we need. Our plant works at about 500 volts and about 500 amps of electricity. And that power has to be converted from DC to AC power so that it can be used in the homes in Austin. 50 years from now, we will see a completely different energy picture. A lot less reliance on traditional forms of electricity such as coal and natural gas and oil, and a lot more reliance on renewable energies such as photovoltaics, wind, and hydropower. For example, you may not have a car that runs on oil or gasoline, but it will run on photovoltaic cells. The whole car may be molded with photovoltaic cells, and then you generate your power with photovoltaics and then run the car. In the future, we will certainly see a difference in the way electricity is delivered to us and the way we use it. It may be that rather than a large power plant that's away from the city that brings the power into your house, you may have a power plant right at your house. It may use photovoltaic cells, or it may be a little fuel cell that generates electricity just for you.
John Hofner and his picture of energy in the future.
Today, we looked at life in the future. What may happen,
What will probably happen,
and what is certain to happen.
So, thank you all for coming. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Bye.